Good day, friends, and as the month of March draws to a close, we have beautiful, beautiful sunshine outside again today. What a great day. Again, fantastic. And we have a new project in today. Well, it came in yesterday, and a lad rung me up from just down the road there in Hucknall, a doctor no less, and he says, I have this guitar, it needs a setup. And can you fit me in? I said, yeah, of course I can. Bring it around, blah, 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 blah. Now, there's a bit of a story with this guitar before I move on to show you what it is. It's already been 2 places for setups, and the setups haven't been very good. And I was surprised to see when it got here yesterday, the action at the 12th fret was about 2.5mm above the 12th fret. That is atrocious, especially for the guitar. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you the guitar. And there you go, you should, those keen-eyed among you will notice straight away. It's a limited deluxe EC-1000, one absolute beaut of a guitar. Now if I was looking for a Les Paul shaped guitar, this would be the one I would buy. It's stunning. What do I love about it? It's everything. I love the weight, I love the matte black, I love that it's neck through, and I adore this dark yellow or a goldish binding. And colouring and gold hardware. I was never a fan of gold hardware, but I actually really grown to love it lately. This guitar is absolutely super. 2 pickups on there, EMGs. It's going to be an 81 and 85 into it, or an 8160 set. I'm not quite sure. I've not been online. I've not checked. All gold hardware. A stunning guitar. Obviously active pickups, but this came in the action was stressed. Once I picked this guitar, I said, well, straight away, there's too much relief in the neck, and your action's way too high at the 12th fret. So I says, leave it with me, I'll get this sorted out for you. And that's all it's come in for. Now I did check the frets while the customer was here, just to show him if he needed any fret work. I found 1 high fret, which I said, being as you knew, I'll do that, I'll fix that for nothing. If there is any more than 1 fret though, I will be upgrading to an intensive setup. But hopefully, we'll be able to get it all done just in the price of a regular setup. So that is what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not going to mention the shop where it went in Nottingham. I actually know the shop pretty well, and I like the people there, and I always have done. And I've never had anything come from them before with a shoddy setup, so maybe it's just an oversight on their part. I don't know. I really have no idea. But it is why I myself am an advocate for independent guitar techs like myself. You know, it's not a surprise to anyone that if you take your guitar to a shop, you're not going to get as good a setup as you would if you take it to an independent, either luthier or guitar tech like myself. I call myself a guitar tech. I don't call myself a luthier because I've never built a guitar. Some people mistakenly call me a luthier and say I'm a great luthier. Well, no doubt in my mind that I will be a great luthier one day, but I'm not a luthier, I'm a guitar tech. But the thing is with taking guitars to a shop, you see shops sell things, and to survive they need to make profit. So they are geared towards selling stuff and making profit, nothing else. I don't sell anything. Well, I sell guitar strings, just standard guitar strings, but I don't sell them for a profit. I sell them, in fact I sell them a few pennies less than I buy them for. I charge £5 for a set of strings, I pay about £5.40 for a set of strings. But that is all I really sell, strings. Any other parts you want on your guitar, I order in as you need it, and you pay whatever it costs. But end of the day, an independent luthier, or especially an independent guitar tech like myself, we're not about profit. We're not selling anything. All we're doing is we're fixing your guitar up and making it playable. And I like to think that I do quite a good job. In fact, I know I do quite a good job. That's why people come back. In fact, I've got a surprise coming in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to say too much about it. Well, I will. I do have a bouzouki coming in a week or so that needs a refret. I've never even seen a bouzouki in real life. Now, mine refretted one, but the guy says, could you do it? I says, yeah. I looked at it, I thought, well, it's a bound neck, it's like a guitar neck, it's going to cost him 200 quid or thereabouts, but how different can it be? He also needs some bridge work, and he needs it setting up. Well, I can go and learn that, no problem. So that is an exciting thing, but end of the day, I'm a guitar tech. I love fixing up guitars. There's nothing makes me happier than seeing a client pick up his guitar and him just play it and go, wow, that's amazing. And that's what I want of all my clients. I want them all to pick up their guitar when they come and collect it from me and go, wow, that's amazing. And I want them to get value for money as well. It's like a couple I've just done for another guy. I've not charged for everything. I did a fret level on a guitar. I didn't want to spend a lot on it. It's a sentimental guitar. It's not worth anything. But I says, look, if I can get it playable for you for price of a setup and a price of a couple of pots, I did it in for 60 quid. I've ended up doing a fret level on it and blah, blah, blah. I'm replacing all the pots, redoing the electrics. I should have been charging him 125 quid. I've not even charged him half that because I knew he didn't want to spend a lot of money. So that's kind of me. I'm not always going to do that. You know, end of the day, I've got to put bread and butter on the table. But I do like to give value for money. And same with this guitar. He's already taken it to 2 places and it's not been right. And the setup was pretty bad. So what I'm going to do is, I've already loosened the strings because I checked the frets yesterday. I'm going to tighten up the strings, get it in tune. I'm going to do the setup with these strings on. Reason being, the guy said, look, the brand new strings, would it be possible to save the strings? I says, well, we can go for it, yeah. I says, the thing is, with these locking tuners, normally when you loosen them or take them off and put them back on, they normally snap at the point where they go into the hole. And so if that does happen, I will not hesitate to replace the whole set. It's going to cost you another 5 quid. But anyway, I'm going to tighten these strings up and I'm going to proceed with the setup with these strings on. I'm going to set the intonation, I'm going to set the height at the nut slots above the 1st fret, I'm going to set the action at the 12th fret, I'm going to make sure there's not too much relief in the neck. There is a little bit too much relief in the neck. I'm going to set the intonation, then I'm going to plug it in and play it, see where we are. Once that's done, I shall get to working on the frets. Good couple of hours working here, so I'm going to crack on. I will come back and give you an update later. So, with the setup more or less done, intonation checked, which was actually quite good. I've reset the relief in the neck, checked the intonation on the 12th fret, everything is absolutely fine. I've had a guitar plugged in, I've played it. There is a little bit of buzz coming up to anything round here till you get to past fret 15, and I have ascertained that frets 9, 12, 11, 10, 9 and frets 15 are high. Here's number 9, I believe. A minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go, you can hear that rocking. And fret 15. Hope you can hear that. So frets 9 and 15 need attention. So I'm going to set about those frets. Obviously I've got to take the strings off. Makes it a little bit more of a pain in the butt. But it's only those 2 frets. So I'm going to level those 2 frets, recrown them. We're going to polish the lot. And we'll get the strings back on and to get it all set up. So without further ado, I don't really like working guitars with strings on because the owner wants to save the strings. If possible, I'm going to try and save the strings. If it becomes a pain in the groin, I will not save the strings because you see I can only take them back so far. With them being lockers. I'm limited on what I can do, and I think these are likely going to snap when I tighten them back up. Fingerboard, you'd have thought might be ebony, but it actually looks like stained rosewood to me. So who knows, that string's not going to be loose enough to pull to the side, I know. Let's see how we do. Ideally I want these strings completely out of the way. Okay, probably just enough to be able to work if I pull those strings to the side. Not ideal, but I'm at the mercy of the client. We shall take some tape. And I will just take these strings back out of the way as best I can, just so they don't go across the guitar fingerboard. These may be a little bit more difficult because they are a little bit, so let's hope they just stay there, and that's good. check my neck. Because I've loosened the strings, it's a little bit more than level now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen off that truss rod just a hair. Well, more than a hair, but there you go. Okay. Just that is a hair this time. Let's have a look there. Okay. Satisfied. That neck is straight. Beautiful. I'll take a pen and we'll mark off those frets. See which areas I need to file. So we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just check again. Okay, not too much. That much there. Will make a difference. Fret 15 is particularly high in the middle. But again, just the middle. So while I'm here with the strings off, let's just check the frets everywhere. Just to make sure that I'm satisfied it's only those two need attention. Ah, there you go. That's a third. Fourth. Wow, not good. We're about 15, that's fifth. Another one there. Oh no, sorry, it's the last one, it's fine. Okay, so we have 4 high frets. I'm hoping you can hear these rocking. So there's going to be an extra charge. It's going to be an intensive setup. That's high. That's high. That's high, and there's one here. That's high. So 4 frets. So I'm going to upgrade this to an intensive setup. I'm going to do some extra work on these 4 frets. It's not a matter, I can't just scoot across them and level them. I've got to scoot across them, I've got to level them. Once I've leveled them, the tops will be flat. I've got to re-crown them. Once I've re-crowned them, I'm going to also have to re-polish them. I'm going to polish all of the frets anyway, but I'll just spend a little bit more time extra polishing these with some fine grit sandpaper just to get rid of all the lines. So it's going to be 45 minutes extra work. I'm going to charge obviously for that extra 45 minutes. We will upgrade this to an intensive setup from a player setup. I will let the owner know about that, and I'll crack on and get this done a little bit later. I've been in contact with the client and he said yes, sure, go ahead. So we're going to remove the strings and we're going to do as I suggested. There you go. If I have to replace the strings, we'll replace the strings. We may get away with putting them back on. No one likes putting all strings on a guitar, do they? Pay the £5. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I'm going to crack on this. I'm going to get the strings off. I'll get the neck taped up where I'm going to level the frets, and I will come back and show you how we go on about sorting these frets out. Okay, we are now ready to do a little bit of what I call spot leveling. And ideally, if I'm leveling frets, I will go across all of the frets in one go with a what is called, bear with me a second, a leveling beam. And a levelling beam basically is a ground flat piece of metal, normally aluminium, or in my case steel box section. And there's a piece there. It's steel box section. It's 2 inches by 1 inch, and it's got sandpaper on one edge, and the edges are milled perfectly flat and level. So we can level with the whole lot going that way. Also we can use an aluminium one, whatever. I have a couple of those knocking about, and it's just basically this scenario, and you level the whole lot. Ideally that is the way to do it, but if we only have a few frets, like in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, we have to take into consideration that if I alter this fret, it will alter its relationship next to these two around it, to that side, to that side. It's why we always check 3. But when I remove material from here, it could alter its relationship with these two and these two. And that could cause problems somewhere down the line. But we're just hoping that that is not the case. Normally it isn't. If you've got a high fret, it normally is a high fret. I'm just going to remark these so I know where I'm working. But once I get past 4 frets, I would do the lot in one go, because if that one affects these two round, it might alter these two, and then on this one we might alter these two, and that one might alter these 2, 3 or 4 again. Even though we're only leveling 4, it could alter the relationship between many others, and we'll end up doing a 9 or 10. And once we do that, we're going to start going skew width. It's not going to be level, and we do use a leveling beam. But in this case, with just 4 frets being high, I'm going to spot what I call spot leveling. I'm going to use 3 files, and the first file I'm going to use to get the level is my Valorbe Swiss made number 4 cut file. This is a number 4 cut. It is so smooth. It's a great cut, and it has one absolutely level edge, being this one, and that's the one I'm going to use. And all I'm going to do is, with this, I'm going to check the height, and I know I'm going to know how much I need to remove just by experience. You don't want to be removing too much. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to use my experience and just glide over that area of the fret that is high. And my experience should let me know how much I need to angle that file. And we still need to keep going. It's just a matter of taking off a little at a time and just checking your work. Again, always cleaning the file. And we are getting close. The reason I tape up the edge of the fingerboard is I don't want to be cutting into the fingerboard. That's why we always tape up fingerboard. We are getting there now. Always clean. And we are level. I'm going to check the one next to it, and that's still level, and the one next to it, that's still level, proving that that fret was just high in that spot there, that last centimetre. We now have no rock, which is wonderful. Now what we've done is we have flattened this area of the fret, because it did have a beautiful crown on there going along this way, like an upside down D shape, if you can imagine that. I've now flattened it, and I need to rebuild that crown, and there's a few ways I can do this. But because I'm just doing a spot level and I'm only removing a small bit of material, I'm going to use a profiling file. And this is a profiling file, and you can see it already has a groove cut in. And I have a 2mm side and a 2.5mm side. I've marked it up as 3mm and 2.5mm because they are a little bit wider. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rebuild that crown at the edges by using the crowning file. And this is quite a coarse cut, and I'm going to be using 2 files for this. And I'm going to use this, and all it's going to do is, where that fret was flattened, we now rebuilt that crown, and I can already feel that that is more or less where it needs to be. I will just go again. I'll just come in at the edge. And the good thing about this file having the groove in it, we're not going to remove any height from the fret. It's going to leave the centre completely. It's going to remove material from the edges, rebuilding that crown. And I think you'll find that that is enough. And I go to check again, and I go 1 back and 1 forward, and it's fine. And that one is done. Now what I can do also is I do have another profiling file, and this is an even better one. This is a fine grit. It is actually encrusted with small diamond particles. It's what we call a diamond file, and this will more or less, it'll half polish and half cut, and this will just basically remove any burrs that you can't see with the naked eye. And so delicate. I'm not putting any weight on there, I'm just letting the file do the work, and that is it. And that is that fret recrowned. So it's been levelled and recrowned, and that is beautiful. Now, to bring that back to a beautiful shine, I will use some steel wool right now. It may be that I have to come back and give some fine grits of sandpaper from 1000, 1200 to 1500 grit, just to remove any small scratches that are in there. But normally, just a quick polish with some finest grade steel wool is enough. And if I think that's enough, I shall leave it. And I am really quite pleased with that. I will take some super fine grit paper in a moment and I'll re-polish that. There are some very, very fine lines in there, but nothing that you would see with the naked eye unless you were really, really close up like me. So that is one done. Beautiful. I'm going to show one more. I did tell the owner of this guitar, there's not a lot for me to film. I might not even make a video. If I do make a video, I doubt I'm going to release it, but now I will be releasing it because of this extra work. So let's clean up. We'll check one more time. Fret is wonderful. We'll check back one, and that is great. So that's perfect. So we're now going to go on to a little bit slightly more difficult one, where it is, it's just high in the middle. Actually high all the way across this one. So this one's going to be a little bit more difficult to work. What I could do, and what I would normally do, is if I was doing the lot, I would be running the file a different way. I wouldn't be running it across that way because it's a lot more difficult to get perfect. You really need to be able to use all of your experience. What I would do with this normally would be I would just file and I would go backwards and forwards this way over that fret until it starts scratching these two. But then that means I've got to repolish 3 frets instead of just the one. I can do that just there, and it will work to some extent, but I don't want to be hitting the other frets next to it, and I'm going to hit the other frets next to it because I can't avoid them. So now it looks like I've already decided I'm going to be repolishing all 3, if not even more. But I can see now I've completely flattened that out, and I've barely just touched the top of these 2 frets, so I've actually got away with that a little bit there. I wouldn't normally do it that way, but we have got a beautiful level there. It just needs this edge leveling. I wouldn't normally do that way because it's so easy to just scratch too many frets around it. But I'm going to polish a lot anyway, so, and that is it. We have already levelled that 1 fret there. We may only be talking small amounts of height difference, but any height difference anywhere on a guitar, on a fretboard, is going to make buzz somewhere. And I did play this guitar and I noticed it was buzzing, and we shouldn't get any buzz out. That is fantastic. We've got that straight away. So again, the crowning file, beautiful. And this, I feel, always cleaning the file, always. And again, I will feel, and compared to the one next to it, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Just a little bit more work on there. Oh, that is beautiful. I can tell that's beautiful. It looks fabulous. And again, with the diamond file, we do a wet clean or a wet wipe, and we do a dry wipe. I don't know why you do this. I was just told to do this when I was given this file by my good friend Nigel Roberts. And again, here we go. And this will remove any burrs and really smooth it off. Wet wipe, dry wipe. Maybe that's the reason we do the wet wipe. Look how much stuff comes off there. So again, that one is done. We'll check the fret rocker. That's beautiful. Check one back. Tiny bit of rock there, one back. This is what I was on about. Because I've altered this one slightly. Got a bit of rock there, so I've got to do the same with the one next to it. This should just be really minimal. And this is the problem, you see, when you alter one, it's going to affect the relationship with the other ones around it. So where there was 4 needed work, we've now done 5, and that is getting to the area where you don't want to be. You don't want to be doing any more than 5 by hand. And there you go, that's good, and the one behind that's good, the one in front of that's good, and the one in front of that's good. So we have now rectified that. Again, we shall polish. The last couple of videos I've done, I've actually shown quite in depth how to spot level frets. That's beautiful. Now this one, I'm not going to polish when I've got no tape around there, so I'm going to stick some tape on there. Get the right one. Because I don't want to be digging into the wood when I polish. I'd normally use a fret guard, which is a metal piece of flat metal with a slit in it, and we can just go each side of a fret, we'll place it over. You know what a fret guard is, but if you don't know what a fret guard is, you're going to see one in a while. And that way, you see, I'm not going to be putting scratches into the wood that way. We don't want to be doing that. So there you go. I've done two that I needed to do. Have I just done the wrong one there? Probably have. Completely the wrong one. You saw that live on camera. How good's that? That's good. So let's move it to the right place. And there you go. Let's do the right one. How's that? I thought, that's already nicely polished. What's coming off there? There you go. That's the thing. It happens with live TV. You make mistakes, you can't hide them. No problem. We just crack on. And there you go. So that is the 2 I needed to work on done. One next to it which was slightly altered. I've got 2 more to do. I'm going to crack on with those, get them done. Once that's done, we'll come back, we'll tape up the guitar, all the areas I need to cover while I polish the rest of the frets, and I'll show you how we go on about polishing. Moving on, we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to spray the fingerboard in lemon oil. It's actually mineral oil, not a lemon oil. Lemon oil would rip wood to pieces. It's a mineral oil specially formulated for ebony rosewood type wood, which will clean and nourish. This wood is something I'd recommend you do at least once a year, maybe even once every 6 months, just to keep your fingerboard clean. You see I'm rubbing it in at the moment, and why this is soaking into the wood, I will be polishing the frets. And you see I had everything, all areas covered, so I didn't get any of the oil on the finish of the guitar. Move that back out of the way, get rid of everything, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And you'll see I have pickups covered. That is because I'm going to be polishing these frets with steel wool. I don't want any of the steel wool getting inside the pickups, so we have them covered as a matter of course. They're just normal. I'm going to let that oil soak in 10-15 minutes, but while that is soaking in, I'm going to polish the frets, and we always use fret guard. We'll place a fret guard over a fret, and when we come further down this end, when we get to fret 12 or such, we can use a wider one. And what we're going to do is, all we're going to do is take some steel wool, finest grade steel wool, grade 0000, and we are just going to polish over the top of the frets. We're not going to get into the oil. 2 things we're not going to do. We're not going to dig into the wood, so we're not going to put any scratches in the wood or into the fingerboard. And we are going to polish the top of the frets, and the oil is still going to be left on this. I can leave that for another 10 minutes to soak in, and once that's soaked in, we will wipe it off. The fingerboard will be clean, the frets will be polished. We already now know that the frets are level and re-crowned. with the setup already done, all I'm going to have to do is put the strings back on here, tune it to pitch, and the guitar should be set up. I will check the intonation and the action and everything again, but this is why I always like to do it beforehand, because when it comes to actually doing the final setup, you're more or less there. I know some people do go on about, oh, you shouldn't set it up with the old strings on because they're old strings and blah blah blah, this, that and the other. But I've been doing it all the time. I've been repairing guitars, and the intonation is always bang on when you go back. If you do have to alter it anyway, by the tiniest amount, and that could be down to finger pressure. It makes no difference, trust me. But I always check everything again anyway. Every nut and bolt on this guitar will be checked, just so we know everything's right. There you go, fret 12. Now I can move on to the next fret guard. I wasn't meant to be doing this one today. I do have another guitar I've got to get done for tomorrow, a Riviera. The guy came in yesterday. I told him he could drop it off, but I'll probably do it early next week. But I thought, you know what? Got a couple of hours. I can crack on and get this one done, and he can have it back. He may even get it back today. Yeah, should be done within the next hour. I will drop him a text when I've got it done. I may leave it 24 hours. Just for the neck to settle, because he's already paid for 2 setups with other places, and they're getting back, and it's been terrible. And the neck on this was terrible. There's far too much relief in there, so I sometimes like a neck to settle 24 hours anyway. So I've talked myself out of him fetching it today, haven't I? And that's going to be a good thing. But there you go. That is all of the frets polished. I can put the fret guards away. Brush off any filings anywhere. We've got none on the pickups, that's fantastic. Going to let that soak into the wood another 5 minutes or so. I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea, or me and my wife a cup of tea, and I will come back and we can get this guitar set up and get it ready to go. This is why I hate reusing strings, even though they're new strings. Putting them in again, you see, the thing is, when you've had these strings in before, you've put stress points on this area where they bend on the tuner. And the snap, I've had 2 snap. And I'd already replaced one with one of my own strings, so I've broken a set of my own. And then another one snapped, so I'm going to show you. And it always happens with strings you use with locking tuners, like so, like there, look. There you go. They just snap on the stress point where they've already been bent before. So I've wasted one of my own strings now, so I'm going to put a new set of strings on. Dioderio 10s I'll put on here. These will just go straight in the bin. 2 snaps. The other one was this one. You'll see now it doesn't reach the tuner because that's already snapped earlier. So in the future I will not be penny pinching. I'll just say to people, look, you need to change the strings. And I'm going to do that every single time, no exceptions. Because this is a ball ache for me now, because I've got that guitar tuned in up more or less, or almost. And now I've got to put a new set of strings on, and this is time is money with me. So just a little moan there. Going to put a new set of Dioderios on. Blah blah blah. Hopefully I will come back when this guitar is finished. Right, a little tip when installing guitar strings with locking tuners, especially the type of locking tuners you get on these ESPs. Thread it through the back, because it makes you have a turn on the string and it's got less chance of snapping. So thread it through the back, pull it up, tighten the locker. That'll take some doing. There you go, we've got it locked up. And now we're going to end up having some turns around the post, which I prefer, to get some turns around the post. It means you don't have, you're not just cutting on that sharp 90-degree angle. You've actually got some wraps around the post. There you go, we'll stretch that string in later. One more time, in case you missed it. Bear with me a second, I've got to unwrap the strings. Again, one more time. String. Line it up. Thread it through the back. It means you're going to get some winds round the post. Bear with me a second. I have my wife and my dog coming in. Perfect timing. Right, let me just, there you go. Again, in from the back. Pull close to tension. Tighten the locker. And there you go, snip off the end. And we're going to get some winds around this post, and it just stops them snapping, because you've got some retention is on the wind, not just on the 90-degree break angle. That's my tip. And there she is, all done. And what a fabulous guitar. And I did change the strings in the end, and I had to do quite a bit of fret work, so it's basically it's had an intensive setup. Everything's been checked, the action's been changed, I've set a relief in the neck, I've altered the bridge slightly, that was a little bit too high, we've straightened the neck just a little bit. It's had 4 frets intensively worked upon, recrowned, polished, well, levelled, recrowned and polished. All the frets have been polished, we've treated the neck, every nut and bolt has been checked. I was putting the old strings on, 2 snapped. I put a brand new set of Diodario EXL 110s, is it? That's them, yep. So it's got a brand new set of strings on there. I've just stretched the strings in, it is in tune. It plays beautifully, as you would expect it to. They're a great guitar. One criticism on these guitars, they look fantastic when they're matte like that, don't they? But they don't stay like that for long. Once your fingers have been around certain areas of that guitar, it will start to shine and you will not get rid of it, and that is a shame, because I love matte black guitars, they look fantastic. But anyway, that is another one done. I've got to move on because I do have one more project today. Friday, we've just gone past noon, it is Friday. Just getting towards the end of the week. I've got one more to do. I'll be working till about 5 o'clock. Hopefully I will have it done by then. I've allowed myself 5 hours. It could well be a 5-hour job, because it needs a complete fret level and a complete setup, and it is a Epiphone Riviera, which means if I have to touch the electrics, they've got to come out the F-hole and all this and that. But anyway, less about that, you can see that in another video. So this one is tied up. It is a LTD Deluxe EC-1000 in matte black with the gold-ish binding. Looks fantastic, gold hardware. It looks brilliant. It plays brilliant. I've had a go, I've had it plugged in, it's fantastic. But the pleasure of this, now it's got the new strings, is all for the owner, so I'm not going to try it with the new strings. I'm going to put it back in its case. I've let the owner know it is ready to collect, and he can collect it at his will. So this is me, Victor Christian, signing off. Just before I do go, I'll remind you of my websites at fretfriend.co.uk. That's fretfriend.co.uk. Even better for now, check me out on Facebook where you can see all my videos, check everything you need to know about me, and that will be at facebook.com/NG17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor Christian, I'm your fret friend, and I'm done for now. So until next time, boys and girls, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you soon.